Well, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brand Builder Show. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of things really, but analytics, managing your Amazon business, growth, and it's going to be an exciting episode. And I am excited to have with me today, Marc from Managed by Stats. Marc, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, pleasure to be here, man.
Awesome. I think I said excited about 3 times, but I genuinely am because I love to talk analytics, numbers, growth, and there's going to be some juicy topics today. But before we get into those, why don't you give us a little bit of a background? Who are you? How did you get into e-commerce? Give us the kind of the snapshot.
Love it. So back in 2014, my dad actually got into Amazon. A friend told him about an Amazon course. And he was like, okay, well, let me dive in and see what this is all about. And so he started in 2014. I then he basically said, hey, you need to jump into this. You need to. This is something that's a game changer and can kind of get you out of the rat race of the 9 to 5 and the normal structure out there. So I said, okay, let's do it. And got several products up and running. And started selling basically at the end of 2014. So that kind of was the impetus. My dad's brands took off really fast. I had some pretty good success on my brands, and then we said, okay, we need to keep building this up. We started building up additional brands, partnering with some friends and family, and before we knew it, we had 3 or 4 brands, multiple products, a whole bunch of different stuff happening. And trying to manage all of that with Excel back in 2014, that was it was time consuming and it was painful. Downloading a whole bunch of reports from Amazon, and there wasn't any softwares out there. There was a couple, but they were kind of a little bit janky. So my dad said, okay, you know what? Let's build it. And he knows enough programming to be dangerous, and so he created the first kind of structure of this, and then shared it with a bunch of friends on a mastermind, and they were like, "Holy moly, you have to share this with us!" So he kind of created versions for them, and then it went from there. We basically started building out an entire SaaS software for it, and have been building adding features to it ever since. Nice. So it's been a rocket ride.
Yeah, that's awesome. And recently acquired by Carbon 6. How did that sort of go down?
Absolutely, yeah. It was interesting. So throughout the years, we've had friendships and partnerships and connections with a whole bunch of different people. All sellers, coaches, people who train, people on how to do Amazon, agencies, and all this kind of stuff. And one person that we've known for many years, said, hey, this company, Carbon 6, is looking at aggregating a bunch of softwares and making it so that they can actually offer all the different tools to Amazon sellers in a cohesive ecosystem that'll actually make it easier and faster for people to do what they need and have all the different tools at their fingertips. And that struck a chord with us because that's what we've basically been trying to do since the beginning. We started off back in 2015 with management in mind, statistics, finances, breakdowns, really knowing your numbers. And okay, now that we've had that, okay, what else can we do to automate things? How can we make it easier and faster for you to analyze your information, take action on it, and then go do what you want? Go to the beach, go, whatever, right? Live your life. And not have to do all the menial tasks. So we added in the review request feature, email automation, and just more and more different features over the years, to make it basically so that someone could log in and do what they needed to do, have all the information they needed inside of Managed by Stats. And there's areas that we never dived into. There's tools and features that we never even, we wanted to build. We had the desire, like, okay, that would be good, a good tool to add, but we had other stuff that was just on our plate that we wanted to get done first. So we never quite got to these other things. And so we said, hey, if we can have a whole ecosystem, which is what we kind of wanted to create from the beginning, let's do it. And, the way that it all went down was very favorable and, kept the whole team on here and kept us all kind of rocking and rolling with it. So, the original thought process and, our support staff and, our architects and programmers and all that kind of stuff, it made sense. Like, hey, this is what we kind of been wanting to build towards. And now we have a bigger system or a more fluid system where we can actually do this.
Yeah, nice. And what do you think is the future of Carbon 6, as much as obviously you're able to speak to? Because a lot of people in the industry are talking about what Carbon 6 are doing, and there's been a lot of a buzz around it. And I feel like Carbon 6 are sponsoring every event I see advertised at the moment. So, there's lots going on. But where's this all going?
Yeah, I mean, so I can't obviously speak for the top dog, but I know that we're definitely building toward this very cohesive ecosystem where the advanced seller, the sellers who've been doing this for years, the guys who know what they're doing and they're in this for the long haul, they're going to have at their fingertips all of the different tools that they need, easily, and they're all going to cohese together. And it's more than just a suite of tools. It's you've the way that they've done it, which is really smart, and no one else has done this, and all the other similar iterations of this, they haven't kept the core people who've built out these tools, or the minds or the sellers who are key in creating the tools or creating these coaching programs or whatever. They didn't keep those people on for long. And that's not the case here. We have every single software suite is connected. They still have their team there. They still know what they're doing. They're all now working. We're all working together to build this cohesive ecosystem. So there's a lot of brilliant minds. There's a lot of people who've been in this industry for years, who know what they're doing, and they're just, they're tying in that knowledge and that expertise to give sellers a bit more of a leg up on all the other competition out there.
Yeah, nice. Exciting times ahead for Carbon 6 then.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is literally just year one. So we're on a rocket ride.
Yeah, exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So let's talk about building an Amazon business then. Obviously something that you've got great experience in, and you've seen a lot, not just only in your business, but you've obviously seen a lot of other businesses through the tool, and you've seen, I'm sure, some successful ones, some less successful ones. And I'd love to try and break down some of those key aspects around the analytics side, around the management, obviously managed by stats. It's it does what it says on the tin kind of name. Let's talk a bit about that, how an Amazon seller really can grow their business by analyzing the data. I suppose starting with, why are analytics so important? Can a seller not just look at their sales, and if their sales are up, then great. If they're not, then they need to do something. Why can they not just keep it as simple as that?
Yeah, so we all wish that it could be that simple, and a lot of people brag about their revenue numbers and this kind of stuff. But when the rubber meets the road, it's really how much are you able to put in your pocket, right? So if you don't know your actual numbers, if you don't have the breakdowns of all the details of what's happening with your funds, when you get these sales, you might get some huge revenue numbers, but if you're not able to keep that money, you're basically making Bezos rich. That's all you're doing, right? You're just working for him. So you have to really know how it all breaks down. And that was the first feature that we built out as our very first tool, our finances tool. It really breaks down in detail to the penny, to really see what's happening with all of your orders and how much profit are you getting from each order? How much profit are you getting from each product? If you have multiple brands or multiple accounts, seller accounts, how much profit are you getting from each of those? And if one product is eating up too much profit, you're going to be able to spot that by having this clear breakout, where you can't really you can't get that on Amazon. Amazon gives you, you have a whole bunch of reports that you can then sift through, but we do all that with the programming, right? When you look on Seller Central, you're just getting a summary each pay period of all of your fees and all that kind of stuff. But it's a summary. It's an aggregate of all the stuff that you've done. you can't see that broken out by product. You can't see how each product is performing individually against one another. You can't see how groups of products are performing together as compared with other groups. You can't see how different countries are performing against each other. So there's a whole bunch of just missing information, right? Which you can get, obviously. Yeah, we got it. We have it. We've been doing this for 7, 8 years now. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot that you have to download. There's a lot that you have to go through. There's a lot of, intricacies that we've, refined over the years. And, that's one thing that kind of makes us stand out, is that we've been doing this aspect for so long that we know all the little pitfalls that the Amazon's backend system has. There's reports that are updated certain amount of days later. There's a whole bunch of different things, right? In addition to that, there's also hidden fees. They're not so much hidden, but they are kind of hidden. You see a sum on Amazon fees or certain kind of fees, but you don't see that broken out, and you don't know if those fees have increased. Let's say you have your product dimensions, right? Amazon, updates your product dimensions to be an inch bigger. That now puts you into this higher, fee, right? And you can't see that comparison to the previous time, but all of a sudden you just know that your profit's lower. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on? So having all that broken out, is really, really key. You have to be able to know your numbers and see that broken out per product. Otherwise, you're just kind of whistling past the graveyard. You think that you might be getting good numbers, and you end up with less money in your pocket.
Yeah. It's when Amazon sellers first start selling on the platform, they see the number of units they've sold and the revenue, and they get excited, and then they see what goes in their bank, and they're like, hold on. Why is this the way that it is? But it so easily can happen. I mean, I had it with one of our products the other day, that we've got 3 variations of a particular product, and one of them was being charged a higher fulfillment fee. It was only a small amount, but because it hadn't been picked up, we hadn't noticed it, essentially, hold them hands up. It accrued like $500 in, overspend on fees. And so luckily we got that back. But, first and foremost, I think, geez, Amazon are cheeky. They just sometimes push these numbers, and I just wonder how many sellers don't even realize, how many millions of dollars every year goes unclaimed. It's crazy, eh?
Yeah. I mean, and it even goes even further. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's shipments and stock that gets ruined and stock that gets lost and all this kind of stuff. If you don't have a tool to find those things and get those refunded back from Amazon won't refund them unless you file a claim and blah, 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 right? So, we have Carbon 6 has seller investigators that does that, an awesome job of actually getting those refunds back to you. So there's just so many different things to it. If you aren't looking at all the details and have a way to quickly parse that information and think with it, you're kind of just wishing and hoping, and that usually doesn't work out for most people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so bringing it back for someone that's maybe a bit of a newer Amazon seller, they are beginning to make sales, they're seeing their units, revenue go up, it's exciting times. What are your sort of words of warning? What are the major, the key metrics, the key analytics that somebody needs to be really aware of to make sure their business is heading in the right direction?
Yeah, good question. So I think it's interesting, having worked with sellers these last 8 years, from all different types, right? New sellers, intermediate sellers, people that are doing $1 million a month, several million a month. It's like you kind of get a larger perspective of what are the key elements that someone should be looking at. Yeah. And we've been analyzing this stuff for years. I mean, we have all of the different metrics. We have metrics that Amazon doesn't have inside of Managed by Stats that help you kind of see what's happening, going on with your business. But there's a lot. There's so many different things that you can be looking at. There's tons of sales metrics. There's tons of advertising metrics. There's account health data. There's, product, inventory, metrics. So there's just so many different things you can get, and it can get a little bit overwhelming. You have to be able to pick out that drop in the ocean and say, okay, that's the key datum. That's the key thing that I need to put my attention on, because if that starts faltering, I know that blah, blah, blah will then have, adverse effects. So going through this, we kind of distilled it down to, and it was kind of funny. We had this like aha moment, and then we kind of realized, oh, that's kind of dumb, because it's so obvious. But it took a lot of analyzing to be able to kind of go, oh, okay, that's what that is. And what we did is we actually distilled it down to 4 key metrics, 4 KPIs that will actually cover every single aspect of selling on Amazon. And if you know what those 4 are and what affects those 4, you can then actually go, okay, good. If one of these is dropping, I need to go check this, this, and this. And if I get those things checked and I find that one of them is faltering and is the reason for this main KPI dropping, you get that fixed, that KPI starts to go back up. So we distilled it down to these 4 metrics, and they are, they actually follow the life cycle of Amazon. And that's what made it kind of like yeah, of course, duh. But once you get that and you see how everything connects, you go, okay, this is actually brilliant. So the 4 metrics are sessions. So people coming to your listing. Conversions, are they buying it or not? Profit, so person, well, I'll go over the life cycle in a second. Profit, and then reviews. So those are the 4 KPIs. If you look at just those 4, you can know how any aspect of your Amazon account is doing. And so kind of going back to that Amazon life cycle, you advertise your product either through SEO or through some kind of advertising. It shows up. People, decide to look at it. They click on your listing. They're now on your listing. You now have a session. You now have someone looking at your session. Their eyeballs are on it. Whether or not they decide to buy is your conversion, right? So they put it in their cart. They decide to buy it. They press pay, and they now have it paid. Amazon collects that money and gives you a portion of it. A portion of that portion is your profit. Right? So you're getting a portion of it, right? So they're giving you your cut, but only a portion of that is your profit. And you have to be able to know what your profit is. Amazon doesn't know, and they don't tell you. Our software can actually help you do that. And then of course, the person says, okay, I like this or I don't like it, and they leave a good or bad review, right? So it just follows along that life cycle, but there's all the metrics, every single metric, your inventory stuff, your advertising, metrics and KPIs, all the sales KPIs or all the sales, metrics, stats, all relate to these 4, and they'll affect either negatively or positively one of these 4. And so having kind of discovered that, we're like, okay, this is the key. This is how people can actually understand what's happening with their business, and know what area they need to dive into.
Yeah. It's really good, because I think that we talk a lot in our community about PPC. It's obviously a big topic, big discussion, and everyone wants to drive their ACoS down, but they just think, well, I'm just going to tweak a few things and my ACoS is going to come down, without fully understanding what are the metrics that drive those changes. If you're getting the impressions but not the clicks, then you need to work on stuff that's going to impact your click-through rate. If you're getting the clicks but not the conversions, then you need to work on the stuff that's going to impact your conversion rate. And it's, that's just PPC, but you're saying it's almost like that on a macro level, that these are the micro things that impact Amazon PPC, which is then going to impact the sort of more macro metric, which is your profit, right? So are there some things in there that you would, having worked with clients that are doing millions of dollars a month, what are the things that they are doing in order to be successful in those 4 areas, sessions, conversions, profit, and reviews? Can you give us some sort of insight into your most successful clients, what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, the common thing that we're seeing is that when they analyze what's going wrong with their business, they want to be able to see immediately what's happening, right? So what we did here, I'll share my screen and show you kind of what they're looking at. And we built this based off of the guidance from very experienced sellers, right? So here, there we go.
Everyone that's listening on audio, we'll try and sort of talk you through it, but the link to the YouTube will be in the description, so you can see the visuals as well.
Perfect. Okay, so this is a KPIs dashboard that every client of Managed by Stats gets. And what it has at the top here is your sessions, your conversions, your profit, and your reviews. And it pulls it in for your entire account. And what it does then is it lists out, let's say for sessions, right? Underneath the sessions KPI graph, it's going to list out all of the sub metrics that relate to that key, that KPI, right? So now you can actually go, okay, if your sessions are dropping, what are the sub metrics? What are the micro, macro items that actually apply to that could be causing that drop, right? And so you can look in here and go, okay, well, I lost the buy box, or I lost my sales rank dropped, suddenly for some reason. But then you can also compare it, right? So you have the same thing for conversions. Your conversion rate, your click-through rate, your advertising clicks, your average customer reviews. These are all things that will influence or affect your actual conversion rate, right? So you can look at these and kind of compare and go, okay, well, I had a spike over here. What happened on, some of these other graphs that might be affecting it around the same time? But each one of these lays out all the different sub-metrics that relate to it. But not only that, they now know, okay, if one of these metrics drops, I go look in this, and this area, and I go fix it. Or they have, a partner or a VA or someone that does it for them. They say, hey, this area needs attention. What are you doing about it? Or let's get this fixed, or whatever, right? Yeah. So now they're able to take action faster. In addition to that, we then took all the stuff that we've learned and that very experienced sellers told us over time, is we created checklists for each one of these KPIs. Nice. So all the different various things that could possibly go wrong that affect that KPI are listed out in these checklists. Mm-hmm. And, you can have them as a downloadable PDF, or just look at them on a little like checklist type format here, and go through and check all these different things. And then you'll find the area that actually is causing that KPI to go down. And then okay, I need to fix that. And the element here is that you know that you're taking the right action. That's the thing. It's you have the confidence of like, oh, this is what's causing it. Yeah. This is the problem that I need to dive into. Whereas, a lot of newer sellers, they go, oh man, my sales are dropping. My revenue is much lower. What do I do? Right? There's so many different things that you can do to affect your sales. You kind of don't know where to start necessarily. So this now gives you guidance and direction, right? The people who succeed on Amazon, who are successful Amazon sellers, they know all the elements of Amazon, and so they know what to do. They know, okay, if I'm having problems over here, I need to go check this, and this. Yeah. And that's what this is kind of, that knowledge has kind of been accumulated into these KPI dashboards, so you can actually see really fast, I know I need to check into this area, and then you go and do that thing, and you have confidence that you're taking the right action to improve that area of your business, and you know that will then affect your overall either sales or profits, right? Yeah. So these are powerful, and these can be customized and built out for your whole account, individual brands inside of your account, all the way down to having a KPI dashboard for every single ASIN, right? So it really just breaks it down in a lot more detail, and you just know, okay, this is the area I need to jump into, and you can then jump into it.
Yeah, I think it's really good that it's also actionable. You know that this stat, this metric is changing, and therefore these are the things that impact it. And I think that's right. What so many new Amazon sellers don't. Of course, they wouldn't, because they haven't had the chance to learn it yet. But that's where the learning journey needs to take place: is understanding what are the proactive things I can do to initiate change in a certain key metric. So I think it's really really important what you shared through there, because obviously the market we're in at the moment is not. The profit margins, let's say, aren't as maybe generous as they were a few years ago. Are you seeing that with your clients? Is that something that you're having to work with them to help grow profitability?
Yeah, I think the main area is, of course, there's the obvious, right? Seeing if you can get lower COGS from your manufacturer, obviously trying to get the best kind of shipping stuff that you can get. But also really analyzing your cost of goods. When you have a change in cost of goods, make sure you have it entered into your system, so you know how much profit is being taken out of each sale, right? But then also, okay, if you look at your advertising, how is your advertising affecting your overall sales? And if you know that down to the individual ASIN, you can actually go, okay, I'm spending too much on this. The key elements that go into that are a couple of things. Knowing your break-even point. And it's basically figuring out, okay, what does your product cost? How much does it cost to get it to yourself and to Amazon? And then how much advertising can you do so that when you get your product out there and you get it sold, you're not going into debt on that, right? You're breaking even. You're getting enough profit from the sale, or you're getting enough payout from Amazon from that sale to justify promoting it more. So if you know your break-even point, you know how much you can spend on your advertising and whatever elements that go into getting your product out there, whether it's on Amazon advertising, off Amazon advertising, you know how much dollars you can spend per product to get that sale. And doing that obviously is going to be you're going to try to force exposure on your product and get it out there as much as possible. But that's just the starting point. You have to then know what is your commonly referred to your tacos. It's your total ACOS or true ACOS, or advertising cost of total sales. So how much advertising costs are you doing to get your sales? And if you have there's a smart way to work that out for each product, and you have to kind of know what that is. And experienced sellers know what that is for their products. And so they know, okay, I can advertise this much and still maximize the amount of profit that I'm getting from that product. And they can then watch that number. And if that number goes, to a point where it's going to start eating into their profitability, okay, they know they either need to scale back, you scale back on advertising, optimize the listing a little bit better, be smarter about their keywords that they're targeting. But it all kind of plays together. So having a keen knowledge of what your break even is and what your tacos would be, that I would say is the key factor. Then you can actually just go, okay, this is what I can invest into it. This is if I spend this much more, I'm going to be eating too much into my profits.
And then when it comes to customer lifetime value, how does that play into the profitability picture? Obviously, Amazon sellers traditionally hadn't really thought too much about lifetime value. It's about getting that sale and then moving on. But as e-commerce has really matured, my personal opinion, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, and you can correct me if you want, but we have to more and more see Amazon more as an acquisition channel, and the first sale is about acquiring the customer, and then we have to deliver on the back end after that. How do you see lifetime value, especially looking at all of the stats? How do you see that playing into a successful Amazon business?
Yeah, I mean, it's vital, and a lot of experienced sellers have been viewing that and have been looking at that for years, and really analyzing that aspect of it and figuring out how they can use Amazon as their kind of lead gen it's everything. We've had lifetime value for years, right? Everyone's been able to look at what's the lifetime value of that customer and what's the average lifetime value of your customers. So how much can you spend on advertising and feel comfortable with the fact that you're going to, you spend that amount, you're going to hopefully acquire that many customers who are going to have that kind of a lifetime value paying to you, right? So obviously one-off products, you're just looking at volume, trying to get as much volume as possible, but you still need to know that. You still need to know, okay, how much is a customer paying, and do they buy it more than once? Maybe not. And okay, how much can you spend on your ads to acquire that customer? You have to kind of have that knowledge. For products that are subscription based, or just you're gonna have a repeat buyer percentage of some sort. Whether it's they buy one and they're like, oh, I want that one for my office as well. You need to having that number is going to be vital. But we've actually stepped a little bit beyond that because we've been seeing that and hearing about it for years. There's a feature that not everyone thinks with. Smart marketers and people who've been in this game for a while, they think with it. But it's the product lifetime value, separate or distinct from customer lifetime value. And if you look at it by product, okay, what's the average amount of income or average amount of revenue that you're going to get from that product? right? So you do discounts, you do, your price changes over time if you're trying to be competitive with other sellers. Your cost of goods go up. You have to increase your price to be profitable, right? So all of that stuff kind of changes over time. And whether or not you get repeat buyers, knowing your product lifetime value is key.
Yeah, definitely. I think lifetime value in particular is a metric that gives you such a competitive edge, because it gives you, like you said, the word you used was confidence. It gives you the confidence to know I can spend X amount to acquire a customer, and with that confidence that they will produce X amount of revenue on average for me in the long run. Whereas brands that aren't measuring that might not spend that money to acquire that customer. And, as the saying goes, isn't it, in e-commerce, the person or the business that can spend the most to acquire the customer usually wins. So, it's why it's such a key metric. And the real takeaway there, obviously, is the more informed you are as a seller, as a business owner, the better decisions you're going to make, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good stuff. Okay, I mean, I feel like we've covered loads there. There's obviously the reality of managing your business by the analytics, by the stats is such an important aspect. What do you see over the next 12 months? E-commerce is continually changing. What do you see for the next 12, 24 months? Do you see many changes in the industry? How can Amazon sellers prepare themselves for what's ahead, in light of what we've talked about today?
Absolutely. I mean, what I'm seeing a lot of, and I have, being a software that's been connected to Amazon for the last 8 years, we have information that we get from different areas of the Amazon team, specifically for our software, and making sure that, everything's up to date on our end. But we also, get some little insights into some of the things that are coming. So a lot of what I'm seeing is, and people have been seeing this over the last, probably year and a half, 2 years as well. But I'm just seeing more and more of this happening is the on Amazon advertising. There's more and more features and more elements that are being added to it to make it either easier to see what's being attributed to your outside advertising, but also then being able to use on Amazon advertising to expand outward. So there's a lot of different types of campaigns and different elements of the campaigns that you can now utilize to get more expansion, more kind of, more exposure for your products than just the conventional, on Amazon, someone searching on Amazon and seeing an ad, right? So there's a whole bunch of different things that are still very much in play, very much in beta. So I think that's kind of the main element that is like, really, really, really analyze your advertising, know what that's all about. When new systems come out, okay, don't just trust them, right? Don't just trust that this is the new thing that's gonna explode your sales. But at the same time, like when video ads came out, that was, we were seeing crazy good ACOS on video ads because not everyone was doing them. It was the new thing. It was, it's like, when Amazon first came out, someone starting off in 2013, he was making mad money because he was the only seller of that product, right? So same thing happened with the video ads. Those started off. You were the only guy that was promoting that on their videos. You had a huge spot on the page. And there's more stuff like that that's happening. There's the display network. There's a whole bunch of other things that are still very much in the pipeline. So I would say really know your numbers. Know what that taco number is, so you can actually analyze your advertising correctly, because there's a lot to it, and it's turning into its own world of different names and acronyms and a whole bunch of other things. So
yeah, definitely. It's now more than ever, it's important to upskill as an Amazon seller, to really learn the system, and you can't just do an average job. If you're going to be successful, you need to commit to it and do the learning, and subscribe to podcasts like this. Hint, hint.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's true. You have to constantly be learning. There's constantly someone innovating, doing something new. Your competitor's always trying to do something new. There's always someone else who's jumping into that arena, who's got some bright idea. Same way that you did when you first started your product, you had some bright idea. This is how I can make this product a little bit better, and trying to take over that market share.
Yeah, definitely. No, this has awesome. Been really helpful, and obviously can really see, how you've built the business you have, because there's lots of great insight there, lots of practical stuff as well. I feel like we could do a whole episode on probably each of the metrics you mentioned, but it's good to, I think, particularly for newer sellers, to really get an overview, an idea of what they need to be looking at on a daily basis to make sure that their ship is heading in the right direction. So
Yes.
really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
Where can people find out more about Managed by Stats if they want to check it out and explore that?
Yeah, the best way, managedbystats.com. That's gonna give you all the information you need. Yep, super simple. And then I'll also give you a special sign up link as well that you can give to your guys. So we'll give 3 months of free service for people signing up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's very generous of you. Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll make sure that gets put down in the show notes and the description of stuff, so people can get stuck into that. And that's a great offer. That's going to be a no-brainer, so people can get in and find out all of the the benefits there. Marc, honestly, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time, and really excited to see about the next stage of the journey as you've joined Carbon 6.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, man.
Awesome. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Make sure you do check out Managed by Stats. Link is in the description below. And we'll see you in the next episode, same time next week. Take care.